What's up, everybody? We are Better Than Ever, and today we have a new show for you. With Daredevil coming back. There it is. We have a new show aptly called Daredevil Born Again Better. I guess. Yeah, it's the best I could come up with. We'll be going over the pros, the cons. Probably the cons first, because I'm one of those people. I don't know about you, but when people say I have good news, I have bad news, what do you want to hear first?
Give me the bad news, bro.
Give me the bad news, dude.
I want to finish with my ice cream.
Exactly. All right. So we'll jump right into it. The first episode is called Heaven's Half Hour. Boy, oh boy, a doozy. I'm going to start out with the show itself because this is obviously coming off of one of my favorite series of all time.
A wildly successful, show.
And it's been 7 years since the show was canceled, which is insane to me.
It's honestly wild.
I don't understand how it's been that long. I know obviously he appeared in She-Hulk, Echo. Had a really small cameo in No Way Home, which I lost my mind in the theater. If you remember, I was screaming. Mm-hmm. So going into this, there's very high expectations, very big shoes to fill, and right now it's not starting on the right foot for me because my first con is using the Born Again name.
Yeah.
So they adapted the Born Again storyline for season 3, where he's kind of broken to nothing. He almost dies because it comes back after the end of Defenders. Mm-hmm. So he's brought back to life, but like the nuns and everything, which is the storyline of Born Again. This is probably his best story from the comics. Mm-hmm. So to come back and use that name was just, I get it, it's a show coming back, like bring it back from Netflix, and it's been years later, it's Born Again, but I'm like, dude, this is not Born Again story.
Yeah, but the average fan wouldn't know that. I think that's what they're kind of banking on. Like, the average MCU fan isn't really a comic fan.
That's fair.
Sadly.
Okay, no, that's fair.
But I do get what you're saying. Like, for someone who understands the storyline, like, to hear the Born Again name, you're expecting Born Again premise.
Yes.
And it doesn't really feel like it's going in that vein.
I don't think so. Well,
in the slightest.
No, it might. By the way things are playing out now, from the first 2 episodes we saw, like, I'm not getting that vibe.
Yeah.
So what is your first negative?
My first negative, so a lot of my negatives were kind of like CGI based. Like, the first thing I noticed, and that I literally ripped my tablet out to write it down because I was so angry when I saw it, was like that scene where he uses the billy club and shoots himself to like this top floor or whatever.
Yeah.
It looks janky.
Yeah, he's kind of swinging around, like using the billy clubs. You can tell it's CGI, and it's not good CGI.
Yeah.
And I think one of the biggest differences is that with the Netflix show, you definitely had a smaller budget, so they were able to keep it more grounded, and it worked. But because like they have Disney money out the ass now, like they can do whatever they want, even though it still looks like shit. Their CGI has been looking like shit lately.
I just don't know why you push it.
Like,
yeah. I can see doing that scene, but like make that like one of the only CGI scenes you have where like someone can really work their time on it and sink their teeth into it. Like the show doesn't really need CGI.
No, because it proved, like, maybe they use a tiny bit in the Netflix show, but like it proved you don't need it.
But just enough to make it believable. Not enough to make it be like, oh my god, this is gross.
They made him swing around like Spider-Man.
Yeah. Oh, it drove me nuts. That's also one of my negatives.
Yeah.
But keep going.
Yeah, so my other negative, now we're getting to the story itself. I didn't like the Foggy death.
Really?
No. I understand. It just felt like a plot device to get him back down to nothing, so he can be born again. It's just so stupid. So like they kill him off early, which also does not make any sense because Bullseye, known for his aim, kills everybody else one shot to the head. For some reason he shoots Foggy in the heart. Why not make it instant? So they're just
plot.
They're stretching it out for the plot so Karen could fucking cry over his body forever.
But even then, like he doesn't shoot Karen. He shoots the 2 people behind Karen.
Yeah, that's true.
Like, so Karen's like floundering and he walks up to Karen to kill Karen. Which is when Daredevil shoots in. Like,
I didn't like it. It just felt like, again, terrible plot device. Yeah, it was cheap. It was, let's bring him back down to nothing. Let's make him start over. You know what I mean? Just to kind of start from the ground up again. Like, it was not for me. It was shocking, but not for me.
So, something that's actually not on my list right now, but now that you're talking about it, it's kind of like hitting me in the brain. Yeah. So I won't use this as a true negative. But them doing the Foggy death, and then obviously Karen moves away afterwards, which we learn later on. It's it's just all excuse to do like the softest of resets.
Yeah.
Which I don't really like. Now that I'm thinking about it.
What was the point of bringing them back?
Yeah. Like, I'm sure Karen will have a bigger role later on down the line.
She was cast for season 2 already.
So she'll have a bigger piece somewhere down the line. But to kill Foggy makes no sense. Like, you could have kept the three of them together and then he would have had Nelson and Murdock. And
they brought the actor back for one night of filming.
It's crazy.
Even though that was like basically what he was on for. I don't remember him anything else. I haven't seen him anything else. And I didn't like him in the first season of like the Netflix series. He got better as the series went on. So I was like, all right, cool. Like maybe they'll do something better with him. Nothing. 10 minutes he left.
Feige was like, off with his head.
Yeah. God.
But so another thing I didn't like, and I'm gonna keep harping on the CGI.
Yeah.
The early fight choreography looked janky with all like the CGI like through the smoke. Like after I watch enough Corridor Crew at this point, just realize that like sometimes something doesn't look like visually appealing to your eye.
So that was also one of those one take fights.
Didn't feel like it was all CGI.
It did not feel like it because there's like clear like cutaways with like the smoke and like the thing really like I think the shots where either Bullseye or Daredevil was like back to the camera and they backed up into it. You know what I mean? So there obviously little cuts here and there, but like that smoke looked terrible. Oh no!
Like it was supposed to be stylized, but like it just it I didn't feel the effect of the fight anymore.
No. And it took me out of it.
Yeah, same.
Yeah. So another one of mine, my last two, I'll put together because they are based on the cinematography. There's constant pan zooms in and out.
Especially in the beginning.
What? Why? Like there's just shots of like him just slowly zooming into Daredevil, into Matt Murdock. And then there's scenes later where they're like zooming out very slowly. I'm like, this doesn't add anything. This isn't, you know what I mean? Like it wasn't like really quick for like dramatic effect. It was just like a weird like creative choice. I feel like does not work. And then another thing, again, I don't know why the constant lens flares in every scene
makes you feel grounded.
No, it doesn't. Like, no, where's this light coming from? Like, no, it doesn't. Like, I don't get it. There's some times where they probably use it to like better effect, but like there was, I think, a scene at the very end when he's walking with his girlfriend. Her name escapes my mind right now. Yeah. When he hears the news that Fisk won, and like while they're walking, it's just constant lens flares behind them. I'm like, for what reason? They're just walking down a block in New York. Like, where are these flights coming from?
I'm assuming it's like they were trying to like depict like the dulling of all the other senses around, just like hey, you can listen.
Yeah, possibly.
I don't know. Like you say, it didn't really land for me.
So do you have any more cons?
Oh, I have two. Okay. One you kind of said a little earlier.
Yeah.
There were several parts where they made it feel Spider-Man-esque with all the swinging and like the Spider-Man landing on top of the roof when he's about that final fight with Bullseye. Wasn't a fan. I was like, all right, he's not Spider-Man. Like, let him have his own thing. I mean, I understand that that's something he does, but it didn't have to look like Spider-Man. Yeah,
they were just again trying. Now they have a bigger budget. They're like, oh, well, now he's gonna be a big budget hero, like the rest of them.
But he's still like, he's not. I mean, he's not. Even if you think about it, like him his moveset, everything, like he's just not that guy. He's a great character to read and watch because he feels so real, which is something I'll talk about later. But it was unnecessary here, or to make him try to feel larger than life.
Yeah, he's not. He's micromanaging 6 blocks in Manhattan. Like he's not like it's not doing it for me. Yeah.
And then my last thing is I'll say is after the fast intro, like I really liked like the first like 15 minutes.
Yeah.
The whole episode felt flat.
Yeah.
It just felt like I was like, like,
yeah, it was like a roller coaster first, like opening 15-20 minutes, and then it just like kind of just setting the scene for the rest of the series, and it was very, very slow pace. Like I understand like having like a big eye-catching opening, but then keep it at least a little high. Like it just like plummeted straight down afterwards.
And then it just baselines on the bottom. Yeah, I was like, all right,
you don't have to go that much lower. Yeah, like you give us this great fight. Granted, it had its negatives, like we said, but it was still a fun intro. Very shocking, but like it wasn't bad. And then slow it down to a crawl. All right, so let's get into the pros. What we did liked. My first thing is the introduction of Bullseye. Yeah. Because season 3 of the Netflix show ended on a bit of a cliffhanger where he's like getting surgery on his back, and then we figured he was gonna come back. So you also figure like this is, I'd say, it's following this actual like real life timeline. This is 6-7 years later after the Netflix series ended. So this is going to be a shock if he comes back for everybody else, you know. Like, obviously it took time to heal, whatever he is. And then he has this, I think he's a cool as hell character. His power abilities, whatever you want to call it. Like, he uses a paperclip to kill a fly.
Yeah.
Right away, I thought that was sick. Like, as soon as he did that, I'm like, all right, well, here comes Bullseye. And even like subtle things, like his outfit was almost just like athletic wear, but his gloves had like the bullseye, like just a bullseye on them. So I'm like, all right, I like this. This is kind of cool.
Yeah.
So that was my first positive.
Wasn't over the top. You know what I mean? It was like just enough that we kind of got like that essence of who he was.
Yeah.
So I appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's my first positive.
The cinematography for the first 2 minutes really pulled me in initially. Like, I was like, okay, like I kind of liked the way the show's going. It showed all three characters, and then, you know, a little bit after that we had like the bar scene where we're going between the three conversations, and it felt very lively, which I really liked. And overall, like, not just the first couple minutes, I really enjoyed the first like 15 minutes of the show.
Yeah.
Right before, like, right when the title thing hit. Like, in general, that first 15 minutes just felt very much like, okay, we are on a ride.
Yeah.
And then obviously
Didn't end that way.
we went from like some crazy Six Flags roller coaster to like the teapots. Like,
we fell off hard. All right, so my next positive is the new suit. They feel like they kind of stripped it down, made it a little more simple. There's not as many latches and zippers. It felt like, you know, and it's also a lot brighter, which is nice. It's a little bolder, but it kept it simple. Nice, it's bright red. Big fan of it. I won't talk. We don't see much of it, obviously, because the whole story plot plays out. Like, he doesn't pick up the suit again for like at least a year. But I hope we see more of that suit soon, because it was very.
Yeah, I feel like we'll see it probably in episode 3. I'm hoping.
Very nice change. I like it.
Something I did like, that, especially for the first part of the episode, we got right into it. Like, there was no fluff. There was no like, oh, I'm Matt Murdock, and I mean, obviously, because if you've watched the shows previous, like, you know who he is, you know what the story is. Like, Disney was like, all right, I'm assuming everyone's seen the show. Imagine
you didn't see the show and you see Foggy get killed, and you're just like, who the fuck?
You wouldn't care.
No, you wouldn't care at all.
It would be nothing to you.
Do you think it depended on that? It depended on people watching the show?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Especially the first 15 minutes.
Yeah.
Everything after that, like, those two characters don't exist anymore.
You have no
idea. It's a whole new storyline.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Okay.
Something that you didn't really like, but I liked it in one instance. There's a specific moment where Matt Murdock sitting in the bar, and Foggy steps outside to have a conversation. And there's one random lens flare that's over his ear, and it's slowly tightening to show that he's kind of like dialing in the frequency to find Foggy's voice outside the bar. I just love the way, like, they depicted his powers for half a second.
I like highlighting it, but I don't think it was constant.
No. Like I said, I liked it in that one instance.
Yeah. Another one was Vanessa taking over the underground business, I guess. The dark side of it, like Kingpin's like criminal side of it.
Yeah.
When he was like out of commission or whatever you have you like use obviously out of the account. And Vanessa, like, we didn't see much of her. All we really knew was that she was like his muse. You know what I mean? And so for her to take over, like, you find out like later on, like, she's like did it well. She's like made the business like profitable and everything. Like, she was really good at it. That was really cool to see, because I feel like we didn't see enough of her in the previous series. So her taking like a bigger role in this, like, I'm very excited to see like that whole dynamic, and like we'll talk about it later. But like the way the episode 2 ends, it's obviously gonna be a big deal. It almost kind of sets up like, okay, like they're gonna be a power couple, and then kind of quickly find out that's not the case. That's not how it's going. So I did like that a lot.
I love how Daredevil's shows, even though he's a superhero,
right,
he struggles with all of his fights.
Yeah.
I always enjoy him struggling with all his fights. It makes it feel grittier, makes it feel more realistic, makes it feel more grounded. Like, you feel like, not that you could obviously do what he's doing, because you can't, but like, you feel like he's gonna lose.
There's plenty of times, multiple times actually, throughout this whole series, where like they're fighting and they're completely out of breath. Like, take a second, they're just like, Jesus Christ, you know what I mean?
Even this one episode, even the first fight, like, they were like going upstairs, you can see like they're like struggling. He's just throwing knives into his shoulder or whatever.
Yeah, Daredevil's throwing the billy club up the stairs, to like throw out the light, whatever it was. Like, but he's also just both completely beat out of breath, even though like he was kind of still in the thick of it. You know, this is before he like put down the mask, if you would, and so he's like still like at the height of being Daredevil, and he's still struggling. You know, granted, Bullseye's not just a regular like goon off the street, but him still like taking those moments like catch his breath and everything is really cool. It keeps it really gritty. Big fan of that. You know.
And I wouldn't say I necessarily loved the choice, but I did love the fact that they had the kind of the balls to take it. Was the Foggy death?
Yes.
The Foggy death. It wasn't like it was something that I really wanted to happen. I wish it kind of didn't happen. But when it first happened, I was like, because I was in that mindset where like he's Foggy, he's gonna live. They're gonna put him in the ambulance. And
thought so too.
And then they're standing on the roof, and he's just kind of like listen to his heartbeat slowly slow down, and then eventually you see it stops.
Yeah.
And then on top of that, very much like anti-Batman-esque, right? He looks at Bullseye and goes, "Nah, dog," and he shoves him clean off the roof.
That was also shocking as hell.
Yeah.
It's like I agree. I thought Foggy was gonna live. I'm like, there's no way they're killing him off. Complete shock value. But the one thing like I did like though is that Matt straight up trying to kill Bullseye. I thought he was dead. I thought Bullseye was dead. Because I'm just like, you see blood pouring out from like around his head. I'm like, oh, he's also dead. I would have been very pissed if he also died. Because I'm like, they're killing off
Bullseye forever.
Half the cast from the previous series.
Yeah.
In the first 10 minutes. So I'm happy they didn't kill him off. But like the fact that he showed him balls where he's just like, you kill my best friend. Like I don't care anymore.
Yeah. He was like, all right, man.
Yeah. One more positive that I forgot to mention: the Fisk-Trump parallels. I thought were really funny. Like they're both fucking crooks.
Yeah.
Both like criminals that should not be there. I really thought Fisk was gonna say "Make New York Great Again."
Yeah.
It was a fucking loser. And then they have the hat steal like, "Oh, Fisk can fix
it."
Yeah, which that was clever. That was a funny like slogan. I always like when there's kind of real life parallels and stuff going on. So I did appreciate that. But I am excited to see kind of what he does with being mayor. Which is the end of the episode. We find out he is actually elected, which also happened very fast. Like he ran for mayor, and the next day he was elected.
You kind of see it with him dating that girl, right? Because like their relationship doesn't really go very much further. They're like on like their second date, he's mayor now.
Yeah. Those like, what's happening in New York?
And they're like, bro, this guy is going to jail. So time to put Kingpin in.
So we're gonna jump right into episode 2, which is titled Optics. They did premiere at the same time, so we'll get into them at the same time. So if you want to start out with your cons, Joel.
All right. I feel like I don't know if I'm gonna be alone on this island, but like overall, the Fisk political storyline, it got boring to me after a while. I'm sure it's gonna lead to something, right? Where it's like gonna progress to a point where it's actually like, okay, I don't mind seeing this. Yeah. But so early on, I haven't had Daredevil in 7 years, bro. And my first taste of Daredevil is Matt Murdock. I felt like I was watching Iron Man 3. Like I wanted to see Iron Man, but I got Tony Stark for like the entire movie.
That is fair. Yeah, you see a lot of Matt Murdock in this. I'm gonna respectfully disagree. Fisk becoming mayor is like a very common thing in the comics. I feel like he becomes mayor multiple times, which is really funny. I am happy they are kind of adapting that play on it, where like he has like the ultimate power in the city, where he's just like, I'm gonna control the city. Even though he's kind of like not like a little hesitant, he's almost like a little surprisey one, and there's some things that are just like new to him that he's not really up for yet. He's not, he's stuff like meeting the police commissioner and everything, where he's a little hesitant, and because blackmails him and all this shit, typical like Fisk stuff. So he try to get clean, but like can't really. So I didn't mind it, because I am curious to see like how Fisk tries to keep a clean persona, because he obviously has that reputation, that history, like in the show of being just a criminal overlord, you know. So I'm excited to see him like kind of get clean but still be corrupt. So
I hate the way most TV shows and movies like they try to depict that someone's Hispanic. Like Ayala, his last name is Ayala. He's clearly a Spanish man. We can see he's Spanish. Like I don't need much more convincing that he's Spanish. Yeah. But then in the middle of him talking to Matt Murdock, he just drops a Spanish phrase. Like it's like so like, not that I'm saying it's out of context, but like it's like, why?
It wasn't even like he had like a super heavy like Spanish accent or anything. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like even if English isn't his first language, it still doesn't have to make it like so obvious, so like in your face, like him just like cursing in Spanish like under his breath. I'm just like, it's like it was just so unnecessary. Yeah. Like he could have just talked normal. He was most of the time, so I don't know why. That's why it wasn't like it was consistent either. You know what I mean? They kind of dropped it in like the first real conversation he had with Matt, and like it felt a little out of context. I'm like, what, we get it. Like, you know what I mean? We get it. Like I get it, man. He's Spanish. Yeah. You did mention this to me off camera, so like I want to jump in. We'll talk about this. I feel like the show doesn't know where it wants to go yet. You know what I mean? Where like is it is it going to be a superhero show like, let's say, She-Hulk or something like that, where it is, you know, an actual superhero, or is it going to be a crime drama?
Yeah.
Police
That's
drama.
literally my next one. I was gonna say.
Yeah, it's like I know you had that coming up, so like, I want to jump in on that. Like I have no idea where the show is going to go.
Like
what it wants.
Like this show, as much as it's been given to us that this is a superhero show,
yeah,
it feels like a political crime drama, which I don't mind a good political crime drama, but I didn't walk into this thinking I was gonna watch a political crime drama. Like,
yeah, I expected to see a lot more of him being Daredevil.
Yeah,
and it's just not. Don't get me wrong. Like, he's obviously a lawyer, so like being a crime drama is like part of the character. Course. But like, I feel like in this episode, episode 2 in particular, like it was just that. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like we had one fight in the beginning, one fight at the very end, and like just a lot of just politics in between.
Yeah. I would almost much rather them have, you know, completely disregard the first 15 minutes, right, and just start it as a political crime drama, and then we realized he wasn't Daredevil for like 7 years, and he put down the mantle, and something got him back. Like maybe kill Foggy off in episode 3, where like now he has a reason to come back. Where like everything's like, you know, Fisk becomes mayor in the first 2 episodes, maybe something like that, and then eventually we can kind of get to a point where he's like, clearly the city needs me to be Daredevil.
Yeah.
Then I'm like, all right, cool. But then to go to, you know, straight to from the ultimate high of him having this fight, pushing Bullseye off the roof, Foggy dying, she moves away in the second episode. We find out she's been living in San Francisco after Foggy's dead. Like, I'm like, all right, bro. Like, to go from like, it was like killed me.
Yeah, actually, the comics too. I think that one of the like soft reboots, like Daredevil does go to San Francisco. He's a hero over there for a little while. So I wonder if they'll kind of go back into that. Maybe they'll throw him into San Francisco, which I don't.
Why?
I don't
what
see
else is San Francisco?
I don't see how.
All you need to do in this is put him next to Spider-Man. That's all I care about.
I love the Spider-Man appearance. So yeah, I'm not mad that it's a political drama, because that is the character itself. That is Daredevil itself, like him being a lawyer, like all the crime and everything like that. Like, I'm not mad at that. I think we're kind of annoyed at the fact that it started so well on a high of him like being a superhero to just completely strip that away like very fast. Like to go back into
like legitimately 2 straight episodes.
Yeah, like even the previous series, like there was plenty of times where like he's a lawyer during the day and he's getting his information at night as Daredevil, like beating the shit out of people. And like we didn't see any of that. We just saw like the daylight side of it.
The White Tiger reveal is super weak.
Oh, so underwhelming.
It's super weak. No. The guy Cherry's in the freaking apartment with the other lawyer, and they're talking to the wife, and within 5 seconds of him being in there, he goes in and looks at a couple things, throws a paper or two, and then he walks towards the bed to pick up the suit and kicks his box. He's like, whatever could this be? Moves the box. He's like, oh my god.
Yeah.
This guy's White Tiger.
You remember my reaction too from that trailer when we first saw it? I'm like, holy shit.
Yeah, you were so excited for it to be White Tiger.
Like, oh, they're bringing back White Tiger. Like, it was so underwhelming. He's like, oh, there it is.
Yeah.
There's the suit.
White Tiger's on trial.
I mean, it kind of made it obvious that like Hector Ayala was obviously you know the character but that his original character's name is Ayala, so like knew right away it was him. But like for like an average viewer, like you know, they kind of have no idea. You know what I mean? Like, all right, this is just somebody like that Matt Murdock's got to defend, and then you find out like in such a simple, boring way, like, oh no, he's White Tiger.
What's on the dump? Oh my god!
Like,
pissed me the fuck off.
Very, very underwhelming. So the pros for this episode. So my first pro is you see a lot of the hearing ability being used. A lot of it. I mean, he's following the cop. He's listening to the sound his sneakers make. People talk like, and he's like in an apartment building while he's like kind of sitting there. You can feel like people's reaction to like the Fisk speech. Constantly gaining insight on everybody around him. But the way he's using his abilities, I feel like they use it a lot more than they did in the Netflix series. Yeah. And I like it a lot. Like,
they're trying to make him more of a superhero.
Yeah, but it's not so over the top, because like that's obviously a big part of the character as well, and they're able to do that in a very like useful way. You know what I mean? Like, I mean, he use it like for fights and stuff, where like he hears like a blade come out, he knows dip out of the way. He hears a blade like cutting the air, he knows which way to move. You know what I mean? So like, but to use it in everyday life like that, it was really fun to see. It was also a nice little callback to the 2003 movie Ben Affleck, where I think the opening scene, one of the opening scenes, where like he's in court and he's listening to the guy testify. And he's clearly lying because he can hear his heart beating out of his chest. So you hear that again. He's using that ability again when he's talking to Hector Ayala, and he hears that his heart's nice and calm because he's telling the truth. So Matt can't really reveal like, oh, I know you're telling the truth, but like we know that he's not lying. He's being truthful. So I'd really like seeing the hearing ability really use to its full potential.
Not saying that the first fight scene of the show, of that episode, was like super over the top or anything crazy, right? It was a very simple fight scene, but it, you know, at least it wasn't CGI, and it kind of gave me like, okay, I can kind of see where this is going. Like he's fighting those two cops. The guy falls off the platform, gets hit by the freaking the train. I don't mind that at all. Like I'm like, okay, I can now see where this is going. I can kind of see a path to which this storyline is gonna take.
Yeah.
And it gave me some semblance of direction after the first episode. It's like a neutral. I can't even say it's a pro or a con. It's like more like a neutral.
Right in the middle. Michael Gandolfini's character.
Yes.
I thought he was great. I'm happy to see Michael Gandolfini on screen because he was probably the best part of the Many Saints of Newark, the Sopranos movie. Mm-hmm. Terrible. God
awful movie.
So bad. So what a disservice to the Sopranos. Mm-hmm. But he was the best part of it, while playing a young Tony Soprano. So like seeing him back on screen, I'm just excited to see, you know, and like I like his character. He's like kind of like, you almost don't know what he's about. He's obviously part of the campaign team, and you find out that he kind of like weaseled his way in there a little bit. Mm-hmm. They said that he gained us like 2,000 signatures, and he was cheap, so he kind of like got in there any way he could. So that right there kind of tells you that there's more to this character. He has like ulterior motives possibly. Mm-hmm. I'm very curious to see what he's about, but I like the way he was kind of like, he brought in like the influencer in to talk to Fisk.
Very Trump-esque, because Trump's whole thing was like about the younger demographic and fighting like through TikTok. His son helped him through TikTok and stuff. Here's
how you click with like the under 30 crowd, whatever he said. Mm-hmm. So I do like this character. I'm very curious to see more of him.
The funniest line he says in the whole episode to me is, "Who needs Manhattan if you got Staten?"
Yeah, he's the one Staten Island. That's so stupid. What's funny too, because Staten Island like is super Republican. There's so many like Trump supporters in Staten Island. So again, like it's not very subtle. We didn't play on all that. So that was very good.
I thought that was a funny ass line. Yeah. Something else that I would not say necessarily is a pro or a con. I think it's more so in the same vein of what I was talking about previously. Yeah. The Hector Ayala Murdock scene. Yeah. I wasn't necessarily crazy with the dialogue. I even talked back on it in our con section, where like, you know, he's clearly just throwing a Spanish phrase in there to show I'm clearly Hispanic, brother. But the scene itself, like it pushing the narrative along, where, you know, like you said previously, Murdock uses his hearing to hear that he's getting tuned up, and he does what he always does. You know, he goes in there and he takes the case, even though no one wants to take the case, no one wants to touch it with a 10-foot pole. Yeah. He's a cop killer, all this stuff. Uses his abilities to then talk to him and realize, okay, he's not lying, but he's lying about something. Yeah. Which kind of leads to the chain reaction of the whole episode from the Murdock side of it. Right. I genuinely did love that first domino of the whole storyline. Okay. Which I was cool with. Still a neutral, because I think the dialogue in that scene, whoever wrote it, go fuck yourself. But other than that, it was a nice little push of a domino to see where we're going. Yeah, it had to go somewhere. Like, yeah. The first episode almost felt like a pilot compared to this. Yeah, like they were shopping this. Like, yeah, exactly. So my last pro, is the BB report was sprinkled in throughout the show. Mm-hmm. I love that. The little snippets of these everyday New Yorkers on the streets about their reaction to the whole situation, with the crime going up, with Fisk being elected, where's Daredevil, and all this, like these little insights into everyday life, like as a New Yorker during all this. I loved. I feel like we didn't really get too much of that, especially in the MCU in general, like the whole like everyday life people. Mm-hmm. We kind of like got forgotten about. So to have this like these almost like live reactions with everything going on was a very, very cool touch. I'm very happy they included it. Yeah, the BB report, it made the show feel more grounded. It almost felt like we were watching this whole show play out on the news. Yeah. Not like we were watching a show. Which exactly. I did like. It almost felt like a commercial within the show. Yeah, exactly. That's a very good way to put it. Yeah, absolutely. Which I was like, okay, it kind of goes along with the whole, Matt Murdock street vigilante, like grounded feel. Yeah, which I did like. Absolutely. And my last pro something that you necessarily didn't like, and I kind of agree with what you're saying. The apartment fight scene, I was just happy to have a taste of Daredevil back at the end. So we started the show with the first episode with Daredevil. We ended this second episode with a little bit more Daredevil. Like, I was just happy to have that bit of a taste of who he is. You know, he typical Daredevil fashion, he's taking the ass whipping at first. And he's like, I'm not going to show them who I am until someone tries to pull a gun at him. And all of a sudden, he, you know, breaks this dude's arm, throws him through the freaking the pillars in the wall. He takes the other guy, slams his head through the freaking fridge. Like, hopefully he didn't kill both of them. But like,
probably not. Very brutal.
Yeah, he probably put them like on some feeding tube status, but like just to have the taste of Matt Murdock, not Matt Murdock. We had enough of Matt Murdock. To have the taste of Daredevil back, I was like, okay, hopefully we go into episode 3 and on with, you know, it doesn't have to be Daredevil all the time.
No, it doesn't.
But just like you said previously, the first couple seasons, you know, he did his Daredevil shit at night, and we got like the lawyer by day, Daredevil by night situation. Right. Which I like the duality of that, and I want that to come back.
Yeah. I think hopefully that's the way it's going, because like he hasn't been Daredevil for a year. Mm-hmm. This is like his first time, because at the end of the fight, he kind of lets out that big scream at the end, where he's just like, "Fuck, like I'm back. I guess I'm back now." Yeah, you know what I mean, he also like doesn't have a choice anymore.
And they pull me back in.
They're like, don't give him a choice. Like he's back. Like he does this big yell, and like that almost kind of makes up for the other episode where like. Didn't see enough of Daredevil. Now he's back no matter what. He doesn't have a choice anymore. Like obviously doesn't want to be or didn't want to be for the last year. Like now let's see that old side from the old series, the day and night version. That I want to see that. I want to see that back, man.
So let me ask you before we even, because I feel we're wrapping up.
Yeah.
Did you like the first 2 episodes, and are you excited for the third?
Ooh, mixed feelings on the first 2. The second episode was better than the first. Now we're kind of getting like into the thick of the story. I am curious now to see what happens, because episode 1 ended on like Fisk winning, and that was it. Like episode 1 felt very rushed. It felt like a pilot. So episode 2 is like, all right, here's everything we took from episode 1, and we're gonna just keep pushing it forward. Yeah. So episode 2 was much better. Overall though, I think I did like it. It was very mixed after the first one, but the second one brought me back up.
For me, I can truthfully tell you, I did not like the first 2 episodes.
No.
I thought they were okay. Yeah. I think that we've kind of harped on this a little bit, where we had these big expectations for the show.
Yeah.
Where we just genuinely thought the show was going to knock our socks off. And I think that's partially our own fault. Definitely my fault, I should say it for myself. I had these big expectations that it was going to kind of go right into the same vein of the old Netflix shows. And it just didn't do that for me. Because I remember like the way I felt when I watched the first Daredevil season. Like how gritty it was, and how much I was clamoring to see him in the red suit, and we were just kind of like, but we still had Daredevil. Yeah, you know, he was just had his hands wrapped, had a black mask on his face. Like we had that. We just we're building to something. Right now, I don't feel like I know what we're building towards, and I don't really like that feeling. Yeah, it's almost anxiety inducing to me. Like
it feels a little soulless compared to the last series.
I can agree with that.
It's now that Disney like has their dirty mugs on it, like they are going to make it a Disney Marvel show. It's like I feel like it just lacks that little bit of character. Yeah, I like a little bit of sauce that we always mention. Like it just didn't have that X factor.
Yeah, I can't say I'm excited for the 3rd episode, but I'm curious. I'm curious to see where it goes.
No, we'll be there, and we'll be here. So catch us next week on Daredevil, Born Again Better. Sticking with it.
Better again. Again.
Catch you next time. I'm Steven. That's Joel.
Again.
Catch us down there. Peace.